Today we're going to learn about comparing fractions. When comparing fractions, the first thing you need to do is have a common denominator or the same denominator. When you find a common denominator, you need to figure out what denominator do they both have in common. That is also known as the least common multiple. So in the situation of 3/4 and 2/3, you need to find a common denominator that 4 and 3 have in common. So based on my background knowledge, I know that 4 and 3 both have a multiple of 12. So therefore, the least common multiple of 3 and 4, which are our denominators, is 12. So therefore, I'm going to change my denominator to twelfths. So for 3/4, in order to get a twelfth, I had to multiply by 3. So what you do to the denominator, you must always remember to do to the numerator. So I took 3 times 3 and got 9. So now I have a new fraction of 9/12. In order to change 2/3, I did the same thing. To get it to twelfths, I had to multiply by 4 and I got twelfths. I had to do the same thing to my numerator, which is 4 times 2, which equals 8. So now my new fraction is 9/12 and 8/12. In order to decide which fraction is bigger, once you have the same denominator, the one with the biggest numerator is the biggest. So in this case, 9/12 or 3/4 is greater than 8/12. First, you need to find the common denominator and change each fraction to have the same denominator. Remember, what you do to the denominator, you must do to the numerator. So when we compare fractions, always remember that when we have the same denominator, the one with the biggest numerator is the biggest. So 2/4 and 3/4, you know that 3/4 is bigger because it has the bigger numerator. With 7/11 and 10/11, 10 is the biggest numerator because they have the same denominator, so therefore 7/11 is less than 10/11. Also, another tip when comparing fractions is, as I said before, when the fraction has the denominators the same and the one with the biggest numerator is the biggest. On the other side, if the fractions had the same numerator, the one with the smallest denominator is bigger. So if the numerators are the same, like in this case, 1/8 is less than 1/2 because the smallest denominator is the biggest in this situation. Some examples: 1/3 and 7/8. Step 1, I found the least common multiple or the common denominator of 3 and 8 is 24. So I converted those to 8/24 and 21/24. 21 is bigger than 8, so 7/8 is greater than 1/3. 1/6 and 3/4. The least common multiple is 12, or their common denominator, so I converted those to twelfths. 1/6 becomes 2/12, 3/4 becomes 9/12. 9 is bigger than 2, so 1/6 is less than 3/4. The least common multiple for 3/8 and 2/4 is 16. 6/16 and 8/16 is what they convert to. 8 is bigger than 6, so 3/8 is less than 2/4. Remember our tips. Once you get common denominators, the one with the biggest numerator is the biggest. But if they have common numerators, then you don't need to find a common denominator because the one with the smallest denominator is the biggest. These are the 2 rules that you would like to memorize and lock in your file cabinet.